Hi, everybody. Today
Oh
on the
no.
Transatlantic Call-In Show, I'm here with Ben. How are you doing, Ben?
Hey, I'm doing all right despite the circumstances. For people who watched the show last week, we talked about how I'm getting the golden handshake from the military, but I'm on leave, I'm having fun on leave. I'm here with Josie. We're here to talk about trans stuff. It's going to be great.
It is gonna be great. So I don't think we decided like who's gonna be driving the show. We're just gonna wing it, all right? You and me,
Yeah,
Ben.
we're
We're
just
gonna
we're
we're
just
gonna
doing this.
co-pilot this thing together.
Hell
You'll have
yeah.
one hand on the wheel. I have another hand on the wheel, and we'll just go from there and just see what
We will
happens.
careen
What
into a river somewhere. I don't know,
Well,
based
I
on how this
mean,
is going
what
to go.
I guess I was like, "What's the worst that can happen?" And you did say we're gonna careen into a river, so that's fine. At least we'll get
Yeah, there we
some,
go.
swim time in. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all right. So, thank you everybody for being here today. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show if you haven't already. I am excited to be here, especially on the eve of Pride Month, which is super exciting. As I looked at my calendar and I shed a tear for my poor time, because when you work in queer movement, Pride is not as fun as you think it
Yeah.
it's
I can
so much,
imagine.
so much stuff, so much stuff. It's wild, but I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it. So right before we jump into this call, let's go over what the last poll was. Right, let's go ahead and see. Um, Great. So, should Medicaid cover hormones for impoverished trans youth? And we have 84% that says yes, and 16 that says no. We've had some really interesting responses. Somebody saying, "Oh, should I get my steroids covered?" It's like, oh my god. But yes, Ben, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like steroids, the answer, I mean, plainly is like your recreational ones, no, but your steroids for hypogonadism, or for anybody who has like low T that's getting their T through their insurance, that's the same thing as getting gender affirming care for trans people. So it's already covered for y'all. Just let us get it too.
Yeah,
Let us have the
simple as
same
that.
things that you have.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll just take a look at what the next poll is. There's really nothing much to say other than it should be done. And the next poll is if a trans athlete qualifies for competition, should an additional cis athlete also be allowed to qualify? So we'll get into that poll after we take our first call. So how are you feeling about just
I feel like
going?
yeah,
Go
let's go
ahead.
down the list and we'll because we'll warm up with this first one and then we'll be ready to go for that
Okay,
for the
perfect.
next ones.
So we'll
So
go ahead and bring in Sophie, she, her from Oklahoma. How are you today? Sophie, are you
Oh,
there?
I think this is an issue on my end. I'm so sorry, caller.
Hold
Okay,
on one
let's
second.
start that call over. You should be good now.
Okay. Hello, Sophie, she, her from Oklahoma. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing well.
yeah.
So it says here that you want to talk about when it's safe to be out as a trans person. How about you talk about it? When in particular are you asking?
Yeah, so the idea I'm having is like with, for instance, uh, job interviews or applications, like when is it safe to do that? Especially in more red states like where I am now, or like places like grocery stores or like shopping in general. Like I always have this sort of like fear of like I need to bring a AFAB person with me shopping because people will just give me looks because like I'm like it's been 6 weeks today that I've been on hormones or the
Mm.
hormones. I can't speak. I'm sorry. So like
Yeah, no
I am
worries.
not like the most passing person right now. So it's just
Right.
like that fear is always there, and like God forbid someone takes it into their own hands to do something. It's like trying to be safe in that sort of scenario.
Yeah, I totally understand, and congratulations on your start of your journey of going through this. It's always
Yeah,
the
thank
most
you.
awkward time is the beginning, because you're just like kind of sitting and waiting for the hormones to do what you want them to do. So it's always and also there's like I always say there's a level of confidence that comes with it over time, like. I always say, like, after several months, if not a year, you'll be like you'll project the energy that you want, and most people will notice and address you the way you want to be addressed. That's kind of like it's just how we carry ourselves type of situation. About your question directly, about the safety piece. Right now, we are obviously in a time where walking out our front door is an act of defiance in some places. And it is incredibly difficult. And it is a situation where it almost mirrors what happened in like the early 1950s or the 60s, when people would walk out and be visibly trans and have their life in danger by the state, right? Police would come and abuse and attack, if not kill, trans people, and there was a lot of violence that was done in that way, where it forced our community, especially trans women in particular, to have to create social networks underground almost, to really talk to each other about passing and when it's okay to do this, and there was a lot of like survival information that was passed. I mean, that's where passing comes from. Passing comes from safety. That's why people are like, oh, you have to pass, because if you don't, like, your life's in danger type of situation. But I have had the privilege and opportunity to talk to many of our trans elders that actually lived through the time of Stonewall, and have persevered into their 90s and are still with us to this day, like Miss Major. And one thing that she says, and I've seen her say it to folks that are at their wits end about, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can be trans, it's scary, it's all the things are happening, the laws are happening, and Miss Major just answered very swiftly and quickly, honey, we're still fucking here. Right. And I had the opportunity to then have a conversation with her after the fact, after she said that. I was like, what does that mean to you? And essentially, what that meant to her is she's so happy to see that the community has come so far since the days of Stonewall, where people can actually go out at 6 weeks transition medically and still be able to even exist in the space, even places like Oklahoma. And what we realize is we are gaining ground in societal points of view, maybe not so much the fascist state, right, that is taking over, but when it comes to our community, our neighbors, our people around us, they are genuinely like, just let that person be, like, this is not okay, this is hateful, and there is the ability for you even to be walking out the door. Because if this was the 60s or 50s, people would tell you, don't walk out that door. They'll bar you to walk out that door because they want you to be safe. So we have made ground, if that makes sense. And we will continue to make ground. And the only way we're going to be able to persevere is through visibility. And it's a really hard answer because it involves resiliency. But resiliency is hard. Taking a punch doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It just means you can take it and roll forward. And so that's kind of my point of view. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what I think about now versus then.
I I think to an extent it answers part of my question. Like I I can understand that in like the sense of like going outside and like doing the errands that you need to do, but like in stuff like job applications, is it I I don't know how better to word this, but is it worth not being financially stable to put yourself out there?
Yeah, Sophie, it depends. It depends on what you're willing to risk in doing so. And I hate kind of giving an answer like that, because I would love to be able to say, here's how you go about living as your full and authentic self in your society, wherever you're at. Like, I'd love to give that kind of answer, but unfortunately, in our country right now, we can't say that. And especially in your state of Oklahoma, it is going to be difficult to be openly trans. And like Josie was saying, like the reason why resiliency has to take such a big part of this is that you can be as open as you are comfortable being, but there is going to be inherent risk no matter what, especially in the state that you are. So you have to gauge the situation based on, I don't know what places you're trying to apply to, what field you're in, what part of the state you're in. All of that's going to factor into how much risk are you taking on by being open in your job applications, et cetera. I could see that potentially some of the bigger cities might have, just more diversity in general. If it was a position at a university, you might have a bit of an easier time as well. But for local businesses, I don't know. It really depends. So I think you need to kind of do some scouting and kind of get a feel for the places first, kind of before you make that decision of how open you want to be there.
Yeah, and Sophie, another thing too is, have you legally changed your name yet?
I have not. I
Okay.
am in a place where I can't afford that. Like, I am barely paying for my own medication.
Got it. Got it. I definitely highly recommend you go to the local Pride or LGBTQIA plus center to help you get that. Because I will tell you one of the biggest barriers that trans people have is IDs. So when you have a name that you have to apply with your legal name and you walk in looking like Sophie, right? Like, people are going to be like, wait, what's going on? And it kind of automatically outs you. And it's something that is a horrible barrier that we face. But because of that, about 1/3 of our community is disadvantaged in some way when they don't have IDs that match their gender presentation. And because of that, there's a lot of, it makes it easier for discrimination to happen, versus a lot of folks don't have very good transdars and they can't tell. And as long as you have a legal name on there, people are gonna be like, oh yeah, this is Sophie. Like, there's no other way for them to see it, right? So I do recommend that. I know you said you don't have the money, but there are programs around local LGBTQ centers. There's probably Oklahoma Equality is probably an organization that exists. I'm pretty sure they exist. And they usually have scholarships, or not scholarships, but like funding, direct services funding, to make sure that you have the ability to get things like an ID, because we know how much how difficult it is, because you're facing this situation as we speak, and that shows the importance of having identification that matches who you are, because people will just be discriminatory on their face for it. But you could also say, if somebody hires you with this anyway, then that means they're probably really open and supportive. So there's also that too, because any place that's hateful, you don't want to work there anyway. And, it's a terrible filter, because we need to survive. We need money. So yeah, I don't know if that helps you at all, Sophie.
Honestly, it did. And I've also, while we were talking, I was looking up the places you mentioned, and I will probably be spending most of the day looking into this stuff now. But I do
Great.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you can also go to transequality.org, and there's a name change directory and clinic, essentially, where you can actually select your state, and it'll give you all the resources and things that you need to do to be able to get those things done. There like a lot of trans orgs, they definitely are going to be pushing for ID stuff because that is one of the biggest barriers that we can alleviate.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and just be yourself. And like honestly, just be yourself. Like I know it's situation. It seems like a situation is unsurmountable, but at the end of the day, like you are who you are, and you need people to hire you as who you are. You cannot go into the closet because the closet will suffocate you to get a job. Like it's one of those situations where you need to find community, and you need to ask community that's local to you to say, where can I get a job? And it's been this way for queer community since the beginning. We've always looked out for each other and have always been like, oh no girl, apply to that bookshop. That bookshop always lets us work there, right? Like it is like that. And the communities do exist because we are resilient together.
Yeah, that was also sorry. That that line got me a bit emotional. The suffocation. That was It's true.
Yeah
But
yeah
I do appreciate your time and helping me with these resources and stuff.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are dealing with this too. Like you're not the only one. We're talking to you on the line here, but there are people who are watching that are asking the same questions. So we definitely appreciate you calling in and asking.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I again, I really do appreciate both of your work.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you, Sophie. Anything else before we let you go?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you luck in all of you do.
Yeah. Thank you so
All right.
much. Have a good rest of your stream.
Bye. You too. Bye. All right. All
Awesome.
right. So great. So let's go back to the chat. I mean the poll, not the chat. The chat's always here. I can't get rid of them. No, it's okay. I wouldn't want to if I wanted to.
The Czechies follow us and make us read things in a British accent, or make us show off our animals, or make us argue about weird things. We love you, chat. We love our chat here.
We do. It's the best. I think TACIS has the best chat. I'm just saying.
Oh, we do.
No bias.
We do. And I mean, I was on the Hang Up yesterday, and like I love Matt. I love the Hang Ups chat, but I loved our chatters went over to that stream. I'm sure they were there frequently. I'm sure like the chat of the line, like they show up in all the chats, but our people are some of the most fun. I love you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway.
All right. So, as I was reading this question over and over and over again, I was like, what the hell is this even asking? So
are you familiar with the context? Are you familiar with the context of this?
I'm not.
Okay, so I'll go into this then. So it says, if a trans athlete qualifies for competition, should an additional cis athlete also be allowed to qualify? And so this was something I saw from an article by Aaron in the Morn about California essentially trying to compromise on the trans athlete discussion, and saying that, well, if a trans athlete qualifies for finals, then the compromise would be to allow a presumed cis person who didn't qualify for finals to also go, which, like, tell me you don't know how a competition bracket works without telling me you don't know how a competition bracket works. Because like the whole point of a competition bracket, right, is that if you made it to the finals, you effectively beat everybody else to get to that spot. So it's like they've already had a chance. They had their chance and failed, and you won, and you get to go to the finals against the other person who beat everybody. Like, so it should not be like, it just doesn't make sense for a competition bracket to function like
this sounds like DEI for athletes. That's just what this
yeah DEI
it's like,
as in like
oh,
what they think DEI is.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, oh, you're a weak athlete. Well, throw a trans woman in the competition, and you might have another shot. Like it's just
Right.
like, what?
Right?
It's like, what? That is so obnoxious. This is so obnoxious. It's like, oh my gosh, a trans person, let me try again. Like this is like the epitome of like, you know, the whininess of conservative
Yeah.
politics. Oh, it's just not fair. Like everything's rigged against me. Like there's schools and it's like there's lib schools, lib politics, lib elections, like all of this stuff. There's wine. And then they're like, I whine my way into a finals competition. It's like,
Right.
what? It's like, is it nothing sacred? You can just whine your way into anything. It's like, oh, it's not fair. I want another try. Put me on the podium. It's not fair. It's like,
Right.
you
It's like
swam slower.
right. And now it's like with most of these competitions too, it's like the people that are whining are not even the ones like in fourth place that would have gotten third place if it were the trans person. It's like they were in like 29th in whatever race, and they didn't get third place like the trans person did. So therefore, like, no, you're 29th place. You had no chance of getting to third. Like, you're not even close to that. Why are you whining? Why are you saying that you deserve this medal when you had no business asking for it in the first place? Take your participation
Bigotry is
medal
good
and
money.
Go on your way. Yeah.
Bigotry is good money. It's like, you know, these people are just wanting to be the next Riley Gaines. Oh, I'm a woman fencer that plays co-ed all the time. Oh, I lost to a trans woman. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. Give me the money. Come on, I said
aren't
the
these
thing.
people and aren't these people the same ones that say that like America's too soft because we've allowed our children to have participation trophies? Like, these are the same people that say we shouldn't be giving out participation trophies, yet they're demanding participation trophies because they went up against a trans person.
Yeah,
like, what?
exactly. It's like, give me my trophy. This isn't fair. I'm supposed to just have it. Like, this is the most. I mean, this makes me laugh so much. I am
Right.
gonna have to call my state assembly friend in California and be like, all right,
What is this?
who's the brainchild behind this? I want to make fun of them. I want to poke
Yeah.
and laugh. I just want to point and laugh and be like, ah.
Yeah, I figured you would love the poll for this week. Like, I figured this would be a good laugh for everybody. While still very frustrating, this is just kind of silly. So
it's like, you know, this is the conservative way of critical thinking, right? Like this is about as critical thinking as they can get. It's like, oh, maybe we'll just give bad athletes another shot. Like, it's just
right. It's like on that end, like, you might as well just across the sport just add another slot that qualifies for finals. And then either way, they're still going to have to fight it out until the end, and there's someone still going to have to lose. Like,
yeah,
exactly. I don't know.
No,
like, and
you
how
gotta
does that?
have
And that would
another
totally
podium spot. It's a two
like, and that would
spots on the
totally
podium.
like, it would totally like throw off like any individual sports. Like,
Oh yeah.
anything, especially anything that requires like two people going against each other. Like, what would this do to boxing? What would this do to wrestling? Like, now you just have somebody that fucks up the entire bracket.
Here's the
Like,
simple solution. We add another lane to the track, and then we add another boxer to the boxer match. So it's 3 versus, you know, it's in the boxing ring. And you just add another
so now
lane.
It's 2 people versus a trans person at the same
Exactly.
time. That's what they want.
Now let's see them win. You know, it's just like they're just gonna add another person just to make sure. It's like, oh, there's only 8 lanes on the track. Oh, we need to add another extra lane. We'll make it the inside one so they can run less.
Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, let us know what you think of this poll. Tell us yes or no. Would this be a thing?
Yeah.
And if you think yes, tell us why. Tell us why you think that's a good idea.
I think 3-person boxing ring sounds perfect. Like, let's just go all in, right? Let's just I think I just invented a new sport. Try
I think you
boxing.
did.
Let's go.
Try boxing, and it's trans only. Only trans people can
Only
compete.
trans people.
Yes, we did this.
And to make it fair, we'll bring the person from the lowest division into the championship match, into the finals. It's like the top two and the worst ranked person. Like that way, it gives the worst ranked person a chance every time.
Yeah, because everyone deserves an equal chance every single time.
Every single time, including in championship matches.
Even if you've never trained and just showed up as a joke, you're still going to the finals.
You're still going. You're still going. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for the laugh. I really appreciate it.
We needed something. We need something funny.
Yeah.
All right.
We need something.
Well, the next caller. I don't know if you want to take the next one, but this is Ted, our good friend.
I think we'll take him. I think we'll go.
We'll take him. All right. Let's do it.
Hey, Ted, how are you from Washington? You say trans care believes, deserves, but not gender medicine. I do not understand. Could you please explain?
Hey, guys. Yeah, so I believe that we should help trans people with therapy and support, but I don't believe in the medicine like puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries.
Okay. What do you, so can you explain to me what puberty blockers do to the human body?
They block the release of hormones, right? Like pubescent hormones. I think the drug is called Lupron.
It's one
tell
of
me the mechanism, like exactly how does it do that? And what effects can you expect?
Yeah.
I don't know how it does it, but obviously it stunts growth and it can cause bone development problems. And
so it sounds like Ted. So it sounds like you don't understand the medication, yet you think I should care what you believe about a medication and how it should or should not be used. Is that what I'm getting?
Well, people have looked into this. There's a global retreat from
Ted.
Right now,
Ted, who are people? Who are these people that you're talking about? What are you citing here?
I'm citing the CAS report from the NHS, Finland, Norway.
Okay, so that tells me a lot of what I need to know. So the CAS report has been thoroughly debunked. But I can tell you here, number one, it's kind of silly that you're gonna say that you, a person who does not understand the medication or what it does, that you should have any say in somebody else's healthcare. Do you think that we should take your opinion over the opinion of, like, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the AAFP, the AMA, the ACP, et cetera, et cetera? Why should I care about your opinion on this?
Well, the Health and Human Services just released like a document.
Right, the Health and Human Services is now run by somebody who thinks vaccines are evil and who literally like swam in a river that's like polluted with like excrement and lots of other human sewage. Do you understand that maybe they're not the best people to listen to as far as like what they are saying right now is not necessarily evidence-based?
I think there's a broad coalition of people. So you might not like RFK, but there's CAS report, there's a broad coalition of people Norway
that are not. So are those people that you're talking about, are they pediatricians? Are they family physicians? Are they physicians of any type? Do they practice medicine? Do they have a license to practice medicine?
Dr. Hillary Cass does.
Hillary Cass is not in the U.S. for one, and not somebody. So yeah, go for it.
I was just going to ask Ted a question, really fast about. So, is there anything that like Dr. Ben can tell you as a trained physician? And we've explained many times, is there anything that we can tell you that's going to change your opinion on the fact that puberty blockers are actually healthy or actually fine when monitored by healthcare professionals?
Well, actually, I would agree with that. They are fine when used for the right reasons, like precocious puberty. But I don't think they should be given to.
What again? So here's my question. Yeah. Why should I give a fuck about who you think should or should not get treatment with certain medications.
But
Well,
first off,
it's not my opinion.
well, Ted,
I'm
first
going
off,
off
let's use logic here. I'm just going to use flat logic. So you think that puberty blockers are okay for precocious puberty, which is given to children younger than the children that are getting it for transition-related healthcare and are on it for longer than children that are on transition-related healthcare. Why is it healthy for them when they're on the medication longer than the person that is doing it for transition-related healthcare?
Because in transition-related healthcare, they're leading them towards cross-sex hormones, which will sterilize the patient. and then
Not
eventually
necessarily.
surgery.
No,
Ted,
that's not true.
No. And again, this is showing that you are talking out of your ass about something that you do not understand, and that pisses me off. So here's the thing. The puberty blocker, it's more of a pauser. It does not stop your puberty forever. It pauses it so you have enough time to do whatever the next thing is. For a lot of people, yes, they do end up on cross-sex hormone therapy because most of the time, according to the data, most of the time people who come out as trans at that young age stay trans. Like, they do not desist into their adolescence and into their adulthood. But there are plenty of people who start on puberty blockers that don't want to go forward with medical transition and will come off of those. The reason why we use a puberty blocker at those ages is so that people have time to decide whether or not they want to do something that is more permanent, or if they want to go through their own puberty, or we can use it for other reasons, such as precocious puberty. We can use it for menstrual suppression. We can use it to help use cross-sex hormone therapy at an appropriate rate for their age. Like, it's not something that is an absolute, like, you're going on puberty blockers, therefore you're going to start hormone therapy. You cannot make that argument. So if you're going to oppose puberty blockers, you have to oppose them on a reason other than what the side effects are for cross-sex hormone therapy. So in isolation, so just talking about puberty blockers, why are you opposed to those? Like, going back to Josie's question, why are you opposed to those for trans people and not for cis people with precocious puberty?
Because I think, like, what I call trans people, I think is just gender nonconformity. So I think people are better off just being men who aren't conforming to the standards
Ted,
of their
should
gender. I
people-
don't think that.
So regardless, and you have every right to think what you do, but does your opinion get to determine what somebody else does with their body?
I think we should protect. I agree with you. For adults, they can do what they want. You have the right to do that, but kids should not be subjected to this.
Do you think that children are the only ones making this decision for themselves, or do you think that there's, I can't remember if you were one of the people I went over the whole process with, but you know that there's a whole team of professionals along with the kid's parents and the kid that get to decide what all goes into that person's healthcare. And the minors that end up going through these treatments earlier are often the highest risk if they don't get access to these.
But it doesn't matter how many people are involved.
It's not an informed consent issue with minors. It's not. But here's the thing. Regardless of what your opinion is, if there's a team of experts that have determined that for this minor, the most safe course of action is to allow them to transition, do you think that you should be allowed to make medical decisions for other people's children?
It doesn't matter how many people are in the decision, because, like, let's say there's a bunch of people.
But it matters. But it matters.
For a child
Ted,
marriage.
Ted, you are not an expert, though, correct? Ted, you are not an expert in medicine, right? Do you have a license to practice medicine?
No, I don't. But Dr. Cass does.
So,
okay,
I don't care what Dr. Cass says. If you have a team of pediatric endocrinology, general pediatrics, adolescent medicine, psychiatry, and the kid's parents and the kid, if you have all of them on the same page, so we're talking I'm not just appealing to the number of people who agree. I'm appealing to people who are accountable and responsible and held to a legal standard, held to a professional standard to provide the best care for that person, those people are the ones making that call. And you bear no responsibility in this decision. So you have no business making that decision for somebody else's kid.
So Ted, I also want to say this. If I said Dr. Fauci said you need to get a vaccine, would that change your mind at all? Why are you doing the same thing with Dr. Cass?
Because Dr. Cass
He
isn't saying you have to do this. Dr. Cass is saying this
is
shouldn't
saying you
be
don't.
an option.
So
Right, so Dr.
so
Fauci would
you're
be
okay.
recommending you to get this vaccine.
And so you're saying that all these liberals out there that have been saying Dr. Fauci says this is the best thing to do, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? He's a doctor, so yeah, I guess that's right.
Well, I haven't looked into that. I'm kind of neutral on that.
But no, but seriously though, like, okay, so you're not looking into it. What if I say I haven't looked into Dr. Cass? I don't give a fuck what she says.
Well, it's not just Dr. Cass.
How is
It's
that an
Brazil,
argument? How are you trying
Finland.
to make
It's
me
a
appeal to
global
authority?
retreat.
Why are you trying to make me appeal to authority of Dr. Cass when we do the same thing with more doctors, more evidence, and everything like that? We need to just throw out that argument altogether, because at this point, the conversation that we were having was essentially, okay, puberty blockers, and you say it causes harm and damage and all this type of stuff, and you're like, kids can't make the decision. We're all over the place, Ted. Right. And so for me, it's like, I wish you would grant us a little bit of intellectual honesty when you're saying, but Dr. Cass, though, it's like, is that any different than saying any doctor, anytime, for any argument ever? That doesn't make any sense. It's a silly appeal to authority to try to convince us that we should stop medically necessary healthcare for children that have been getting these benefits and have been their lives have been saved. So my question to you, I have a question for you. You said that children don't understand and can't understand gender. Is that what you said? I just want to verify.
Yeah, well, I've actually said I don't believe in gender, so I don't think anyone understands it.
Okay, so but regardless of what you said, I'm asking you the question, do you believe that a child cannot understand gender? I don't care about your opinion
Yeah, I
on
agree with
gender
that.
because that's irrelevant. Okay, great. Do you believe that pediatric psychologists have a profession that exists?
Yes.
Do you see that they have value in society? Do you think pediatric psychology should exist as a profession?
They can get stuff wrong. Like, a lot of people think this is like the lobotomies of the past.
So any
Right.
doctor can get anything
But-
wrong. That's silly to appeal to the one exception to the rule. Overall, generally, the practice of pediatric psychology is a good thing. Yes or no?
Neutral. I don't know.
You're
about
neutral.
psychology, if it's
And
really
Ted,
science.
And Ted,
That's
the
squirrely
guidelines-
at best.
and the body of experts that, sure, people can get things wrong sometimes, but the body of experts, people who have trained like their entire lives to make decisions like this for people and make recommendations, they are far less likely to get it wrong consistently compared to you who have zero qualifications. So sure, you could say that, well, they got things wrong sometimes. Would you rather, if we were going to space tomorrow, would you rather trust somebody from NASA with expertise to build the rocket, or would you trust yourself to do it? Clearly, one of these is more knowledgeable and more up to speed than the other person with regard to this. So
Yeah. And Ted, I just want to say this. The reason I'm asking you the line of question about pediatric psychology is because pediatric psychologists are trained in understanding what is a kid making up a story and using their imagination versus real world trauma. So when a child, heaven forbid, goes in for abuse, the pediatric psychologist has to be able to have a conversation with that child to realize what is real, what is not, what is harming the child, who is harming the child. And we use those type of records for courts of law for custody. We use those records in courts of law for a lot of different things because those experts know what they're saying. So people can't go on the stand and say, oh, this pediatric psychologist doesn't know what he's talking about. My kid's just making up the story about A, B, and C. No, we have a system of experts that are understanding of children's psychology to be able to decipher what is real and what is not real. So when you say, oh, gender dysphoria is just gender nonconformity, guess what? There's already a system in place that pediatric psychologists follow to know the difference between somebody who's exploring their identities versus somebody who has diagnosable gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is consistent, insistent, and persistent. Is a diagnosis that has to be given for over a year before medication is even given to a child. So the reality is the reason that there is such a low regret rate and such a low detransition rate is because the pediatric psychologists have put such a heavy burden of proof of clinical diagnosis of gender dysphoria before people even see this healthcare. We're talking about maybe 400 kids a year, maybe max, that are getting this type of healthcare. So when you have, and if you block this type of healthcare, guess what ends up happening? Let's say they're a trans boy and they start developing breast, and then they start binding and they start hurting themselves because they're binding too tight because their spine is still growing, but you can't stop them from binding because that's what they're going to do because you can't police them 24/7. So now you're on the conversation about, oh, let's give a 16-year-old breast or chest surgery, chest reconstruction. So what is it? Do you prefer that a person go under the knife and go through a very complex surgical care, or would you rather them take a pill or a shot to give them the proper bodies that they would feel comfortable in that requires less surgical intervention? What is your choice? Because they're going to do one or the other.
You guys aren't trans medicalists, right? So what would be wrong with them just living as their gender identity and not going through the medicine?
They can if they want to. If this is a bodily autonomy issue, and it's also a harm reduction issue, like Josie is saying. Like if you have a high risk kid that basically at the end of the day, either they're going to medically transition or they're probably going to be hospitalized for issues most likely related to how other people treat them. Or you might end up with a very high suicide risk. And it comes down to, would you rather minors have access to evidence-based gender-affirming care, or would you want more of them dead? That's honestly what this discussion is about.
Well, the evidence is split, and I know you guys say that the regret rate is low, but
do not dodge the question.
Amaya Deacon.
Yeah, answer the question
the
first.
Evidence is not, and the evidence is not split because you've already cited thoroughly debunked. You've already cited thoroughly debunked studies. The Cass report is not
you guys cited the debunked. You guys cited the debunked.
The question I asked you,
Dr. Amaya Deacon.
No, Ted.
Yeah.
If these minors, if the majority of these minors that are getting gender-affirming medicine are higher risk, at the end of the day, this comes down to a harm reduction issue. Would you rather trans children have access to gender-affirming care, or would you rather more of them be dead?
I reject that gender-affirming care actually lowers the suicide risk. I think that's been
what's your evidence other than Cass?
What is your evidence? Because this is
regret rate.
Ted, this is the gold standard of care.
1% regret rate.
This is Ted. You've already admitted that you don't really know anything about this issue. The American Academy of Pediatrics endorses this medical management of gender dysphoria in minors. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry also endorses this. The AAFP endorses this. The ACP endorses this. We have actual bodies of experts that agree that harm reduction is maximized through this management. If you are going to disagree with all of these medical organizations and with current medical guidelines, you have to bring extraordinary data. You have to really knock it out of the park with your citations. And you know what? If you have that data, you can take it to the AAP. You can take it to the AAFP.
Okay.
What is your data?
Can I share something with you guys? So you guys said that the regret rate was 1%, but Dr. Amaya Deacon, who's with WPATH, I don't know if you guys know the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, she admitted on Twitter that the regret rate is about 30%. She said that.
That is not true.
January of 2020.
That is not true. Ted, your citation is that somebody tweeted a thing. That's
somebody
your citation.
Who's an advocate.
I don't
somebody
care.
Who agrees with you guys.
I don't care. Ted,
somebody
what is a
do
you know how to cite do you know how to cite legitimate data? Do you know how to give any citation at all? Do you have any validated research studies?
I don't have that on the
clinical guidelines to talk
about. Dr. Amaya Deacon.
You're talking about somebody, Ted. You are appealing to authority of someone who tweeted a thing on the internet. Do you understand that a tweet maybe is not the best evidence to cite?
Well, why do you guys say it's 1% when WPATH itself is saying 30%?
WPATH itself did not say that.
No, that was a person that you said is affiliated with WPATH. That is not the stance of WPATH. So stop. If I said something, if I tweeted something, that does not mean that it is the stance of the line, right? So Ted, you need to seriously look at what information you're pulling, how you're obtaining that information, who's saying that information. Is it the official stance of something? Because we are talking leagues of difference of evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
So Ted, I want to give you an example.
Well, I think
so. I ran the U.S. transgender survey back in 2022, where we surveyed over 92,000 trans and non-binary people across the United States, every state, every territory, and even bases overseas where trans people resided. And we were able to ask the question about, is your quality of life better since you've come out as trans? And 97% said yes. And also the other question we ask, is your life more satisfied after you receive gender affirming care? 98% said yes. Now, and then we asked the question, if you had surgical care, is your quality of life better since you've gotten that surgical care? And 99% said yes. So at the end of the day, I have an entire scientific data set of 92,000 trans people across the United States, and guess what? It shows the 1% number yet again. And so why am I able to do a repeat of the data that already existed through clinical studies that say it was 1% regret rate and detransition rate, and then I was able to observe the same trend in a completely different study that I was able to do at 92,000 respondents? How was I able to get that 1% number again? That's what science is. It's repeatable. I can say, okay, is this the number?
1% is too much. Even one person regretting it is too much. Listen to Chloe.
So
Cole,
we shouldn't do heart
listen to
surgery?
Clementine Breen.
Yeah.
Listen to Richie Herron. These people were mutilated.
Ted, shut the fuck up, Ted. What's the regret rate of a knee replacement?
That's not the same thing. That's not an elective surgery.
The reason why I'm asking, the reason why I'm saying this, Ted, the reason why I'm fucking saying this to you is because you, for some reason, think that you're some kind of medical expert that can make decisions about what is too high of a regret rate and what isn't.
Yeah,
it's putting things into perspective because you're saying.
Listen to these
because
perfection is of pregnancy.
Yeah, what is the regret rate of pregnancy, Ted?
listen to the stories of these kids who were mutilated
Ted,
and sterilized.
answer my
I'm telling
fucking
you.
question, or I'm dropping your
Yeah.
call. You're
I don't
seriously
know.
annoying.
I don't know the regret rate.
You don't know. Do you know why that matters? Because, again, you are trying to talk about what is too high of a regret rate and saying that that should be the opinion of everybody and how we should regulate healthcare for people. You're not qualified to make these decisions. You're not qualified to weigh in on this. So kindly shut the fuck up or get actual evidence to prove your point. Because
and Ted,
1% regret rate is incredibly low.
and you're saying
Incredibly
one
low.
person. You're saying one person, Ted. Tell me another thing you hold the same level of standard that you hold medical transitional healthcare. So you say one is too many. Give me
I hold the
another
same-
example
I hold the
outside
same
of trans
standard.
stuff.
I view any unnecessary intervention that has lifelong complications the same way.
So knee surgeries out. So no knee surgeries anymore. That's your opinion.
Pregnancy
So
out.
cosmetic,
No one's allowed to get
cosmetic
pregnant.
surgeries out. Cosmetic
So
surgeries,
knee
circumcision,
out.
I'm totally fine banning those.
Okay, so Ted,
Not knee
answer
surgery.
my knee surgery. So no knee surgeries.
Knee surgery is necessary. That's a problem with
No,
the body.
not necessarily.
Ted, how do you
can
fucking
walk on
define?
crutches.
How do you define necessary, Ted? Ted, like again, where's your
Feeling
medical
in your head
license?
isn't
Like,
necessary.
Oh,
Because
so
a feeling in your head isn't
all
isn't a medical problem.
antidepressants out. All antipsychotics
Ah.
out. All schizophrenia
Well,
drugs
those
out.
don't. The thing is, those don't treat the body. You're not.
Do you see what
sterilizing
you're
and
saying?
mutilating the
is,
body.
Ted, what the fuck is a brain? A brain is part of a body, right, Ted? If you think,
It's-
you know what, I'm
And that
dropping your
depends if you
ass.
believe in the soul.
I'm dropping your
wait.
ass, Ted.
I got one more question.
No, I
So
already dropped him. Sorry, I dropped him.
I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
ask if chemo sterilizes children when they have childhood cancer, should we just stop doing that too? Right? Like the
Okay,
reality
yeah.
is we can continually have that conversation, and that's what we were demonstrating right there, chat and everybody, is the fact that once they start giving in to the like, oh, one is too many, and then all this, now you're completely ripping out and destroying the entire medical situation. And that's what I wanted to get to. It's like, okay, great, so under Ted's rule, we're just going to go in there, rip up all medical science, all clinical science, all the whole entire theory and academia of psychology, psychiatric care. We're going to throw out everything we can't see. We're going to go back to the dark ages where we bleed people out, because that seems to be the thing that makes people's headaches go away, right? Like, we're gonna go and do that and go back to prehistoric freaking times of medicine, because I can't see it, therefore I don't hear it exist. It's like such a childlike way of thinking. It's
Right,
so gross.
The anti-science view that Ted has is unbelievable, and like, I got pissed off, and rightfully so, that like I've spent over a decade studying medicine and like starting to practice medicine, and I'm so inexperienced. There's a lot that I'm learning, and the fact that people think that they can not even know that the brain is a physiologic and like biologically necessary thing to keep healthy is like, they can have that view and then think that they can make medical decisions for other people. Like, absolutely fucking not. Like, absolutely fucking not. The Dunning-Kruger is wild.
And if the problem with it too, and you know, I was complaining a little bit about this before the show, is the fact that they're destroying our academic institutions, where they don't respect your 10 years of education. They don't care that you've read books and understand this in a level that would actually save human lives. They just shit on all of it and say, no, I read a thing one time, so therefore it's true. And it's like beyond Dunning-Kruger. It's like, I don't believe academics no matter what, because because Orange Man says this is how way it's supposed to be, or it's a situation where they just like, I just don't understand. like I feel like we are at the prefaces of idiocracy, right? Where
Yeah.
people just stop learning how to spell, people stop like learning and understanding how their computer fucking works, and they don't understand that as soon over time we're going to lose things that we took for granted, like oh, a circuit board. Oh my gosh, who knows how to do that? I don't know, 10 people who decided to still go to school after you shut down all the funding. Like
Right.
what like it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
Right.
I mean,
And this is
anyways,
this is an
I'm
actual
getting
situation
really
where
cynical.
people are like, they would rather people die than admit that they're wrong. And that is just
Yeah.
that is insane to me. Like, that you'd be
Yeah,
so
and
dishonest that you would rather people lose their lives than admit that you are wrong about something.
and that's the thing, right? Like at the very beginning, it's like, oh, 30% regret rate, 30, and then once we were able to lay out real evidence that shows that's repeatable, that 1% is across the board, the standard clinical number that's widely accepted across the world, then it's like, oh, then it's one too many. One is too many. It's like, so it wasn't about 30% at all. It was just about you trying to own our educational knowledge about this, and this to try to cosplay academic, so you can actually be trying to give us and meet us on the field of intellectual discourse. But the fact is, they're intellectually bankrupt, so they can't be intellectually honest when they're actually having these conversations. So when the real stuff comes out, it's like, one is too many. It's like, what a bullshit standard. That is
Right.
just at that point, like, ban it all together, because one mistake is too many, and therefore we have to eliminate the entire practice altogether.
I'd be curious to hear what Ted's view on abortion is.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's another thing. It's like all these women regret pregnancy. Why are we forcing them to have them? One is too many.
Right.
One regretted pregnancy is too many,
Yeah.
Ben. It's a too many.
Right.
So we need to just give everybody birth control until they can prove to me they're not going to have regret about it later. That's how it should be in Ted's world. It's like, no, you got to go through clinical practice to understand that you're going to be safe from postpartum. You're going to be safe from all of the things you have, the finances to send your kid to a preschool that costs more than a university education, and then we'll make sure that you're off the birth controls. That is the level of logic that these folks have.
Yep. And they want to make your medical decisions for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
It got me heated. I was like yelling at the screen here. I was like, ah. All right. Any of these calls look good here?
I mean, the next one on the list is one that I talked to last night, and might be good for you to kind of take the lead on.
Okay.
Because I think it's a continuation of the same conversation we had last night.
Okay, great. So hello, Tom, he, him from Oregon. You want to talk about the language around transgenderism and how you feel it doesn't line up definitionally with trans women are not women. Could you please explain? What do you mean?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, hey, I spoke with Dr. Ben yesterday, and I appreciate you guys taking my call.
Great.
I know it's kind of a provocative statement, but I don't mean to cause any offense by it, or I'm just trying to understand.
No, yeah, we're happy to have an open, free-flowing conversation. Go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, sorry to bother you guys with my cisgender questions. You probably get all the time. But for me,
this is what we're here for.
And for me, and I would say probably a lot of other cis people who don't, who aren't really familiar with the language or anything like that. Yesterday, speaking with Dr. Ben, he answered one of my questions where being transgender, that is more, it's about your gender identity, not necessarily about your sex you're born with, right?
Correct. Gender identity is gender. Yes, that is the sociological construct that is gender. Like, so man would be considered a gender, woman would be a gender, right? So that those are types of gender. The biological side, I'm sure you talked a bit about, but go on.
So for me, just looking at the words, the words being used, the word woman, I feel like, refers to sex, where it's, you've heard the definition of an adult human female. So it seems to me, and I'm assuming probably to a lot of other people, it seems like the qualification of female has been removed. Does gender not
So
is not attached to sex?
It just moves. It's okay. So going back to like sex is a component of a human, right? Like, so I like to use this analogy sometimes because it makes it, I think it kind of explains things a little bit. So like a computer, let's look at like a computer as a full person, right? But inside the computer, there's a lot of components that you can then analyze and understand as they all individually interact with the computer. So for example, like sex could be like the motherboard or whatever, right? And then you would have like a sound card, and then you would have like a different types of circuits and resistors and things like that. So when we start having conversations about gender identity, gender expression, sex, sexual orientation, relationship configuration, they're all components in the same computer that we're talking about. So for you are, let's say you are this computer. I assume that you were assigned male at birth. Is that correct, Tom?
Correct.
Okay, so in your computer, you have like the male card, and then you also have the man card, right? And those are all components inside of your computer. If you're gay or you're straight or whatever, those are all different components inside of that computer. And we have different linguistic words to help describe a computer better. Because if you don't use the component language, which is more jargony, for the understandings of the inner workings of a computer, then we would get lost in the way that people. So if people don't know the components of a computer, and you're trying to talk about, if somebody's never heard the word motherboard before, and you're like, oh yeah, hand me the motherboard inside of the computer, they're gonna be like, what? What is that? And that is, I think, where the conversation gets muddled in a lot of these gender identity, gender expression, gender conversations, because we're talking about the components of the computer before we realize that it's a full computer first. And then you start digging down into people's identities. So for example, I am a trans woman, meaning that I was assigned male at birth. So therefore I have the male circuit card, right? And then, but I identify as a woman. So that's like the woman card in my computer. And, and I'm bisexual and I present feminine, so that's my gender expression. And so all of those pieces identify who I am more deeply than just saying Josie the woman over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Would you say, and I think I asked Dr. Ben this yesterday, so gender and gender identity are different, right? Does gender refer to sex versus gender identity, where it's the
gender is always social, no matter what. Gender is always social, no matter what, right? So gender is, there's like, you can break gender down even more, talking about components, right? You can break down gender to gender identity, and you can also break down gender into gender expression as well. And they don't have to correlate with each other either, right? So gender has more complexity than just gender itself. So gender identity is a component of gender. So the identity is the self-understanding of who you are as a person. So Tom, if you say you are a man, that is you declaring your gender identity to me. Just like if I say I'm a woman, I'm declaring my gender identity to you. So therefore, you understand my lived experience a little bit easier. That is why we use words like women and man, because those are essentially the gendered terms that universally in society we understand. And that's why we use those terms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think the language has really changed over the last couple of years, and that's why there's so much confusion around it.
What do you mean?
For me, when you say, for example, trans women are women, to me, a trans woman is different than a woman.
Is a computer with a sound card still a computer?
Honestly, I don't know enough about computers to.
Okay, is a computer like so? Like the idea is, right? the computer can still function right, without the sound card is what I mean, right? And the idea for me is like, it's not a necessary thing to be a woman. You do not need to have a biological condition to be a woman, for example. It is just the identification of who you are that makes that so. So a classic sentence that I use on this show a lot is, some women can have penises and some don't. Right. And even like, so at the end of the day, it's like the woman is the gender, and in the word penis would be a very shorthand for like the sex. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but even that, when you say some, some men have, say some men have vaginas or some women have penises.
Sure.
To me, there's a difference, because I don't believe women can have a penis.
Yeah, they're trans.
Or I don't believe men
That's the
can have a
difference.
vagina.
But no, they're
Yeah,
trans.
that's
the difference, Tom.
They're trans.
They're
not.
trans, and no one's going around saying they're not trans. And if they are, who cares?
Yeah,
but
they're
in
identifying
reality,
as that, right?
Tom, can an intersex person who, has a penis and ovaries, can they call themselves a woman?
Intersex person, so somebody who doesn't align with their gender?
No,
Their
someone
sex.
who was born with a difference in their anatomy, to where they were born with a penis and also born with ovaries. Does that
But
person
are
get
you
to call
saying,
themselves a woman?
Are all trans women intersex?
No. My point is saying that, like, some women can have penises.
well,
So
no,
having a penis does
I-
not disqualify you from being a woman. And so this is
Well,
different from a trans person. But I'm just showing you that
I don't want to conflate. I don't want to conflate
Yeah.
biology, but Ben, I want to get away from the biology conversation, because the gender is a social construction. I don't care about the anatomies or anything. We're talking about the social construction of gender, because the social construction of gender, because when we're talking about gender, Tom, and you bring in the sex piece, right? Because in my sentence, some women can have penises and some don't, right? That is a representation of gender being separate from the sex. That's what that sentence means. So that's why I'm trying to make that clear, is that there is a distinct difference between sex and gender. Do they align sometimes? Yes, but that doesn't mean that is the rule. So that's why I try to keep gender in the social construction of it, because Tom, you're not going around tapping people's crotches to make sure that somebody says, "Oh, hi, I'm Samantha." Right? And you're like, okay, Samantha looks like she's a, woman, whatever, blah, 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 blah. She's feminine, whatever. You're not going to go and tap her on the crotch just to double check that she's actually a woman, are you?
No.
Exactly. So you would just assume, all right, this is a woman. So that's a clear example of a moment in
my
real
assumption-
world.
I'm
But
sorry,
the
I
thing
interrupt
is,
you. My assumption could be wrong, though, right?
Well, exactly. My assumption that you have a penis can be wrong too, but that doesn't make me not call you a man, right? Like, I'm not going to go in there and be like, Tom, until you send me a dick pic, I'm not going to believe you're a man. That's silly. That's stupid and abusive, right? So that is
Just
the
because you
real
don't have
world
the evidence
example.
that I'm not a man doesn't make me not one, right?
Well, no, I believe you're a man because you told me you're a man. I asked you that question.
So if I didn't say I was a man, you wouldn't have any idea what my gender is.
Not until you told me what it was.
Okay. For me,
Does that make sense?
And I feel like we kind of agree. I'm sure you'll tell me if I'm wrong here, but to me, it seems like the gender identity is a social construct where it could kind of be whatever you internally feel, versus sex, where you're born male or female, and excluding the intersex option. If you're just born with your sex as a male, but you feel more female, you can you can engage in womanhood, you can be very feminine, you can be more feminine than most women. But it doesn't, definitionally, I feel like you have to be an adult human female. Those are three
Well, that's
requirements to me.
but
It's not.
Tom, now
That's why we're
now we're
separating it
conflating
out.
we're separating it out because if
That's
you
why we're
look at the
separating it.
definitions, if you look at the definition in a dictionary, it has two definitions in the dictionary. So when you look up woman, there is like the adult human female, and there's also the definition anyone who identifies with the understanding of the womanhood and the social construction is essentially what it says. So in reality, like the way I look at it is a black woman, a blonde woman, a redheaded woman, a cis woman, and a trans woman are all types of women. Yes or no?
No, I don't agree with that.
So you don't believe there's a difference between sex and gender then? So you don't believe a trans woman is a
Sex
type
and
of woman?
gender, no, but gender identity, yes.
Well, you can't separate those out. So that's the crux of the situation of where we're having is, in order for you to understand the conversation, and this is where the language has evolved a little bit because we're getting better with our understanding of human understanding, is the fact that gender and sex are different. So the idea is a trans woman, a cis woman, a black woman, and a blonde woman are all types of women. To say that is not true would essentially say that a trans woman is a man. And if you are saying a trans woman is a man, who is doing the crotch tapping to make sure everybody's telling the truth?
Well, I think the trans man, or the trans woman would be separated from the woman based on
So
sex and based on.
if I was talking to a group of women and I didn't say that I was trans because I'm just like walking into space, and you were to point at the group of people and say, would you say that trans woman over there, or you would say that the woman with the dark curly hair and red glasses?
I would say the woman with the dark, exactly what you said, but I would be
exactly
wrong.
So
because
therefore
if
I'm a type
you're
of
born
woman.
male,
But that doesn't matter
but I
in
would
real
be wrong
society,
using
does
that.
it? But that doesn't matter in real society, right? And when you're talking about interacting with real people in
I
the
think it
real
matters for
world
the language
outside of
being
the
used.
so it doesn't matter for the language being used because you literally just used it in the example that I just gave you, where you would point at me and saying the woman with the dark hair and glasses. You literally just used it in a practical way that society has already been deeming it.
But if I said, say I was looking out in a field and I said, oh, look at that dog, but it happens to be a deer, it doesn't actually make it a dog, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
It would
So
still be a
therefore,
deer.
Tom, I can just assume you have a vagina and just call you a woman.
You could, but you'd be wrong.
And then you would be wrong about knowing if I have a vagina or a penis too, because you have zero clue if I do or don't.
But I would assume
but is
probably
it
you'd have
true
a
or not?
vagina, but I
And
could be wrong.
Tom, don't you understand that? This is why we separate out sex and gender. Because you're not, like Josie has been saying this whole time, you're not engaging with somebody because of what anatomy you think they have. And that's why society has moved on into separating these. Because the reason why you're stuck in this viewpoint is because for some reason you believe that people's anatomy should determine how they act in society and how you treat them. Is that the case?
No, I never said that.
Well, that's
then
what
why
you're
are
assuming.
sex and gender the same? And why do you need to know what's in someone's pants in order to call them the correct pronouns?
I don't. Being male doesn't matter if you have a penis or
so
vagina.
Tom, if somebody so then why do you need the distinction between trans woman and woman? Like, why are you separating these out into different things when you're going to interact with them in the same way? Why do you need that distinction there?
Because I think the definitions matter.
But why does it hurt you, Tom?
Why are you so overly pedantic?
Yeah,
it sounds like the
pedantry.
It sounds like the pedantry is a way for you to feel legitimate in having bigoted views. Like, I'm sorry to say it like that.
But Tom, this is what I have to say. Why does it hurt you to say that a trans woman is a type of woman?
Well, it doesn't hurt me in any way. I just think it's incorrect.
Why do you not believe it though?
If you tell me you're a woman, I'll believe your gender identity. But for me, woman, like I said, it's defined as an adult human female. I think those are three requirements.
Tom,
you have to
why
have.
does that definition matter
a
so
dollar
much to you?
bill, if I said a dollar bill is just a piece of paper that's painted green and has no value, does that make it true?
But just the dollar, like gender identity, is a social construct.
But the dollar is a very real social construct because you go to the shortstop and you go and get a Pepsi. That dollar, regardless of its social construct, because it actually is just a piece of paper, has value. So therefore, you can buy that Pepsi. So just because I say it's a piece of paper, it doesn't matter.
Say we traded in chickens. Would a dollar be a chicken?
That would be the social contract. Yeah, that would be the social construct of how we.
But a dollar is not the same thing as a chicken, right?
Because we deemed it so as a social construct. We deemed that dollars in the United States are our currency. Just like we have determined the social
male who identify as female are women. We're just deeming that, right? That's the social construct.
That's a society has said men and women exist. That's what society did. Society, just because I'm a trans woman doesn't mean that I got to wave a magic wand and change the way gender roles are set in this society. I'm not changing the value of a dollar magically.
I think you can.
I'm not changing the word. I'm not changing the word of gender magically. I'm just living in the social construct that women have in the United States. That's it. Just like I spend the dollar, I have no say on the value of the dollar. I just live in the world where dollars exist. So therefore, I live in the world where gender as a social construct exists. I'm not, me being a person that uses the social construct that way does not make me the wrong one here.
I gotcha. Okay.
Does that make sense?
And the logic you're using, is logic that is very easily applicable to racism and to other forms of othering people. If you define a man as a certain, no, it's true though. If you define a man as a strict set of criteria, and you say anyone that does not meet the strict set of criteria doesn't get to wear this label, they get to but they're still a person. They're just this other type of person. That's what you're doing with trans women and women. If women is the umbrella term, and trans women, blonde women, brunette women, Christian women, atheist women, all of them fall under that umbrella. If you say these people get to label themselves as woman, but this one gets to have a label that's similar to woman, but not quite, that is othering in a way that is very similar to the way people justify racism. You're adhering to pedantry. You're adhering to pedantry.
How do you identify
that is not useful?
A woman or
it's
a man?
not useful except for the reason of othering other people. What is the utility of your definition the way that you are using it?
Between what a female and a
what utility is there for separating out trans women from every other type of woman? What does that do for you?
Well, I would say sexual attraction is probably a big one.
Okay, but that's your own personal preference. But so, like, if we go back to the example of me standing with a group of women, and let's say you know me, Tom, you know that I am Josie and I'm a trans woman. Would you say the man with the brunette hair and the glasses so you can be accurate in what you're saying?
No, because I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be a jerk to you.
Well, I mean, if you were in a restaurant and you were like, hey, where's that man over there? And you just see a bunch of group of women over there, people are going to be like, what man? What are you talking about?
Yeah, because
there's no utility to it. That's
understand man as an adult human male.
But but Ben asked you about utility, right? And every example that we've talked about, you use the utility of women as in my identification, and it just happens to be my also gender presentation. The utility is you would just group me with the type of woman, so therefore you could identify me in a crowd. So that's why Ben is asking you the question about utility. What's the utility of knowing that I'm a male in any social situation outside of your own personal attraction, which I think I'm hot? That's your loss.
Honestly, there's probably, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Exactly.
Right.
Right? Because we evolve with language. The society evolved. We didn't have words for computer before, but we have one now. We didn't have words for silicone conductors. We do now. If we just adhere to words just because they always existed, we would still be talking in Old English, right? We as a
So how do
community,
you
as a
define
humanity
woman?
evolve. I define woman as a person who identifies and lives in the social construction of what the culture deems is a woman.
And where do you get that definition from?
I get it from the fact that it is well, first, it is definitionally that way in many dictionaries, but it also comes from the fact that woman is a very complex term, just like a chair. So it requires more alliteration to be able to describe something, because I use language to define things. So the more words that I use to define something, the more clear of the picture that it is. Because if I said a chair is something that you sit on, well, now, because it's short and sweet, now horses are chairs, tree stumps are chairs, the floor is a chair, right? Like, or if you say, oh, something with four legs, well, that's still horses, that's still tables, there's a reasonable understanding of when you're saying what is the definition of a chair. You'd be like something that is got four legs, has a back, it's made of wood, and I'm specifically thinking about this particular thing. And even if I get as detailed as possible, somebody's going to be like, well, actually, this thing that also said is a chair too. And so it's like, what about stools? And so now that is why it's a fool's errand to try to define something like woman in a very short sentence when we have entire libraries full of books describing the historical nature of what it is to be a woman in society from the dawn of time to cultural society now. Like, it would be that people wouldn't be able to get degrees on feminism if the definition of woman was just boiled down to one sentence. And that's why, for me, using rhetorical tricks like, oh, a woman is an adult human female, really does take away the beauty and the texture of what womanhood actually is and what it defines itself to be. Literature has been written on this stuff, and there is so much richness to it. To boil down a human to that sentence is just robbing our humanity of its beauty.
But I don't think defining things are a trick. Like, for example, if you say we use language to describe things, wouldn't using trans be an adjective to describe the type of human
Tom,
you are?
In that case, should we require that every adjective you have be listed before you call somebody a woman? Like, oh, that person is blonde hair, blue-eyed, 6 foot tall, this exact like waist size. Like, do you have to list out every pronoun in that case, or like every adjective? Do you have to list them out before you call somebody a woman? Or is it okay to shorten it or is it okay to just shorten it to woman?
That individual is like, it wouldn't change them being female.
I'm a type of woman, Tom. I'm a type of woman. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say I'm a cis woman that can give pregnancy and I was born this way. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I am a type of woman. But you have refused to give me that courtesy to say I am a type of woman. You have denied that to me in this conversation 3 different times.
I said I would refer to you as a woman. I would respect your pronouns.
But you don't think
I just don't think
that I'm a type of woman. You don't think I'm a type of woman.
I think you can pass as a woman. I think you can identify as a woman. But
You're not answering my question. Yeah, exactly. So because you don't think I'm a type of woman, therefore you are taking a piece of my humanity for yourself.
If I said
And I would never do that to you. Just to let you know.
If I said my animal identity,
Your
if
what?
I said my animal identity was a house cat, would you respect that identity?
That is not all what we're talking about.
That's insulting. That's insulting.
Not
to me,
all we're
Tom.
talking about.
Because how dare you think that me saying I'm a type of woman has anything to do with that?
Well, why? If I think I'm, hypothetically, if I would genuinely believe that from my heart.
Tom, now we're playing, because we're not talking about gender anymore. You are jumping away from gender to try to elucidate a point
identity,
where you
right?
took a piece of my humanity away. Like, the reality is you're trying to justify why you can decide to take a piece of my humanity away by throwing some absurd hypothetical that has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about in this last 28 minutes of conversation. And it's kind of insulting.
I hear you. I didn't mean to insult you. I apologize. I am just trying to understand it. I was referring to identity and how people identify.
Yeah,
or what
Tom,
you can
you also,
identify.
I was identifying the gender identity.
Yeah, Tom, you also
What's that?
cannot throw out that fake statement of you're just trying to understand, because the whole time you keep going back to things that we've already debunked. And it's clear you're not just trying to understand.
I don't think you've debunked them. I think you've given me very good, valid information that is going to make me think about it. I wouldn't say it's been debunked, though.
Well, I mean, going back to the whole idea of the fact that I really want you to think about it. Like, after this call, I want you to watch it back and really think about the fact that we were talking about gender identity and talking about how gender identity is something that is very, very personal to the person and has a lot of utility in real world construction that we've used many times in examples. And the last threshold, all I was asking you at the end of this call was just to say that I'm a type of woman. And that's it. Like, and that is the lowest bar, right? It's not like trans people are asking you to do anything else. All we're asking is to just be treated like a human that is inside of the current social construction that already exists. Because regardless of how I feel about the social construction or gender construction of how things are in the society, I can't change that. All I want to do is be with my sisters who are also women. And I don't want to be denied that just because somebody has a different opinion than me. Right? Because at the end of the day, my humanity is very real. And this isn't, we're not having a conversation about cat genders and all of that. We're just having a conversation about the standard social construction of the way the world is in gender identity. And that is the reality. And that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And that's why I want you to watch
I would
that.
say you're a type. I would say you're a type of woman. I
Thank
have
you.
a quarrel with the definition of woman is what's, as I'm sure as you can tell, is what's holding me up here. But I mean,
Yeah,
if
for sure.
I don't see you right now. I'm just on the phone, but
Of course. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I've seen you before. You are a woman, so I believe that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This is the last thing I'll say.
Also,
I've taken up you guys' time.
No, I just want to say this one thing too. Look at other words like run, chair, table. Like, go into the definition and look at the dictionary and see how many entries there are under a simple word and definition. Like there really is very rarely words that are just like that's what it is, right? And so I think we're putting too much value in like the definitional understanding of words rather than the humanity of what people are. But go ahead, you wanted to say something.
My final question, just to wrap it up with you guys. Why is it just gender identity? Why is there so much emphasis on that? It seems like the gender identity.
Yeah.
That's probably
This is why.
I guess specifically why gender? Why it seems like only around gender. There's no other. Like, for example, there's no. To use my ignorant example, cat identity. Is it just because that seems silly? Like because people don't think they can be an animal, or?
It's the fact that there are different expressions that people have, and that is the difference between the gender expression and gender identity, right? Like I know trans women who present very masculine, and it's because their gender expression is masculine and versus feminine. And so there are different ways that people can slice things up, but in the understanding of our own social constructions, we understand that trans people need human rights. And that's why a lot of times these conversations do come around to being about women and men and non-binary people and just people in general, because regardless of how people identify, at the end of the day, people deserve human rights. And people use a lot of the argumentation, such as males will always be women, to then take away people's rights and humanity away. And so, for example, for me, if we followed the statement from the beginning of the call where a male can never be a woman, then someone like me, who has been through a lot of the medical transition, right, surgically as well, would be thrown into a male prison, and that would be a crime against humanity, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
I don't think if you've gone through full transition and everything, I don't think you should be a male person.
But at the end of the day, it's these simple little definitions and strict adherence to those definitions that cause those crimes, right? Where they throw and put trans people in situations that put them in harm's way or worse. Right. And that's why when we talk about these categorizations and these umbrella terms such as woman and man and person, we're able to give humanity, or give not humanity, but give people human rights and dignity across all spectrums of human kind. And I think that is why we should be on the side of giving people more rights and more abilities than to take them away. And that's what limiting definitions on people's humanity does. It takes people's rights away, which is the worst thing, right? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Everybody is entitled to their rights and medical
And
treatment.
a
If
lot,
you want to serve in the military, you should be able to serve in the military.
exactly.
I agree with all that.
And I'll leave you with this, and I promise it will be done. The language that you were using at the beginning of this call, such as a male can never be a woman, is the same language they're using to weaponize our existence. So at the end of the day, it's like, whose side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of the person that says a military person can't serve and that trans women should be thrown in prisons with a complete population of males? Or do you want to be on the side of humanity and being decent to one another?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be on anybody's side, or ideally I want to be on the side that's for. Yeah,
exactly, right? I will never understand what it's like to be a man. And I know that sounds really funny to you, right? But I am not a man, never have been. Even though I may have been pretending to be a man because I didn't know, but I never fit in with men. I was never part of the good old boys club. But I'm not going to say I don't understand men, so I need to take away parts of their humanity because I don't understand it. Like there are aspects of manhood I will never understand, but I'll let you be you, King. Like do what you got to do. But I don't need to understand that to give somebody else their dignity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Does it feel like asking these types of questions? Does that? I guess it could. Yeah. If somebody were to question my identity consistently all the time, it would probably start to get to you. So, all right, dumb question, but okay. Well, thank you for you guys' time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, did you want to add anything before you go? I saw you go off.
No. I think the end of this conversation was pretty good. I think just think about why you want so badly to adhere to such a narrow definition. Kind of like Josie's homework about the dictionary. Like, most things are not that narrow of a definition. Most things have some wiggle room. So think about why that's so significant to you. Like, why does that definition in particular have to be more narrow than really any other word in our language? Because it sounds like it's significant. The distress you're having.
One final thing?
Sure.
Okay. Never mind. Sorry, I'll let you go. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But it's like this. It's clearly significant to you. So just think about why is it that significant, and that might help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for your.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your patience. And we got there. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh no, thank you for your patience and answering my question.
Yeah.
But you have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye-bye. Oh, okay. I think that ended in a good place.
Yes, that ended in a better place than I thought it was going to end. So.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just, and honestly, a lot of times, in my opinion, is sometimes when you let the logic play itself out all the way, they get led to a place that they didn't want to be. Right?
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden, it's like if you play out the scenario all the way, it's like, wait, you're standing over the hole with the dead people that you're talking about, right? And it's like, and that to me is like what it. That's I think, and this is, I think in my heart of hearts, it's like people want to be good people. This is idealistic. I think people assume in their heart of hearts that they're good people, right? I think there are some people that come in with an agenda and want to be a fucking ass and they want to make trans people feel bad. That happens. But I think genuinely people do come with like the idea that they're good people at heart. They just want to XYZ, right? Like I always, I said that when I came out as trans, right? My mother's bigotry came from a loving place. Right. And people are like, what? Yeah. But in reality, the reason that she was so anti me being trans was because she was afraid that society was going to throw me in a hole somewhere and I was never going to be able to succeed. So she thought she was protecting me by trying to prevent me from being trans. But in reality, she was hurting me. And it took her a minute to realize that the love is letting me be who I was and not trying to protect me as a 39-year-old woman. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where the thing came from. But it's a really hard thing to say. It's like, oh, somebody's bigotry is coming from a place of love. It's like, that's the fucked up world we live in. All right. Like it's the fucked up world we live in. And most people don't understand that they're being hurtful. But
for
anyways.
Sure.
Yeah. So it looks like we have another call. Do you just want to go down the list or do you want to?
Yeah, we can just go down the list. That sounds great.
Other shows?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. I don't know the schedule for the rest of the show. So we'll just go into the next call. Hello, Scott from I think, is that Indiana? No, that's Indiana.
Iowa.
No, that's Iowa. Iowa. Yes, him. Thank you so much, Scott. You said you have a question about resources and questions for parents and guardians. Could you explain more what you're looking for?
So in my household, well, first off, thanks for talking to me. In my household, I've got a couple of kids who are trans. And so, and I've the kids go, one is male to female and then the other's female to male. And we're doing what we can, names, pronouns, absolutely. But I feel a little lost when it comes to some of the other gender affirming care. Like, I don't know what kind of binders to get, and neither do they. Yeah. And they have a relatively larger chest and things hurt. and I don't know where to go for that answer. And then like my my daughter now, we don't know what to do in the state of Iowa because this is a dumpster fire here. And what even are her options anymore? And so it's an interesting time in my house, but I'd like someplace to go for some extra answers.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot going on, but thank you so much for being a supportive parent. Like you're doing, even with your efforts and asking questions and trying to find the right resources, like you're doing great things for your kids already. So I just wanted to applaud you on that. I was like, when I saw your call come in, I was pulling up some resources to kind of send you in their direction. But there's a really good article on Trans Lifeline. They've got like a bunch of resources in their library, but they have one that's a binding guide for all genders and gender expressions. And they go into a lot of details about how to size a binder, what kind of options there are, what not to do, all of that. So they have a very extensive article kind of going into that. And you can even go into their resource library and go through any of their other topics that you might have questions on. And that's just one resource. I don't know if Josie has some other ideas as well.
So there is a lot of organizations like PFLAG, which is specifically designed for allies of the community, of particularly parents. There's definitely that. You should definitely check that out. You should also look into things and guides that may be able to support you. So one of the things about raising a unicorn, I always say it's a gift to be able to do such a thing, but just always the most important thing, and this is what I've learned from my research and my understanding of doing this work for quite a long time, is exactly what Ben said. You already are there as a support, because it only takes one major supportive figure in a child's life that is going through the fact of being trans in the world in this current state, is already making them much more mentally stable than a lot of the counterparts that don't have that supportive figure in their lives. So you're already doing a lot of the work. I would then also, and I don't know if you said this already, Ben, but because it's a minute what you said, but the community centers, local community centers, are really, really important. So like they usually have kids days and things like that where they can meet other kids with like experiences. Also, when your kids get older, I don't know the ages of your children, but sometimes schools have things. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they're mid-teens, so
okay, so
they're well into being adults. So it's
yeah, for sure. So I would also check to see if there's any GSAs in the schools, which are gay student alliances, which are really, really good, and see if there's anything available like that where kids can be able to communicate. I know Iowa is kind of a shit show right now, and there may not be those resources, but I'm sure there's something that exists where the kids are meeting. Just because they say they can't meet at school doesn't mean they're not meeting somewhere. And that's really important as well.
I think they're both in it.
There you go.
Awesome.
So it seems like you have a lot of the resources that you need. I think what is going to be the most helpful, Scott, is to share your story. Go to organizations like PFLAG, go to different, community events. If there's anything happening if there's like a school board meeting talking about trans people, you need to go up there and be Papa Bear. And you need to go in there and be like, look, my kids are healthy. They're happy. This is what it is. Because those stories are very, very important. And if you want to support your kids in the future and all kids in the future, share your story and talk about how wonderful of an experience it's been for you to raise your children, just for them to be kids. And that is probably one of the most powerful testimonies that people that don't understand trans kids need to hear. They need to hear another parent say, hey, no, this is okay. I like this. This is great for my kids. Right. And I understand this. So I know I'm kind of asking you to do some work. Obviously you don't have to do anything like that, but that's what we need right now more than anything in the community.
Well, no, I think it's a great idea. I've actually got my one of my best friends is my state congressman. So I've got I have access to have my voice heard.
Yeah.
And I just got asked to be on the band's public or performing arts board as their vice president. So I actually have just in the last year kind of inherited, more of a voice, I guess. So I think I think you're right. I think I just need to keep telling their stories. The one I can't yet. She's not quite
Of course.
ready, but
Of course.
the other is he's out. So
Yeah.
we respect their privacy
Of
until they're
course.
ready.
And you should.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
You're already doing the right thing,
no,
Scott. You have not told me anything wrong. Like no notes. You're doing great.
Oh, I love them. Well, and two, one of my daughter is my biological child, and then I have a son, and then I have the other two kiddos came to us from parents that are horrible, and so they're living with us now while they kind of sort their lives out and finish school and move on to the next stage. And they're my kids too, so I want them to have a good home and not fall into a system, So
Yeah,
it's
you're
an
doing it
interesting
right.
time, but I think the Trans Lifeline too, the binding guideline, that I'm going to go to all those today and
Yeah,
see what I can find.
absolutely. Trevor Project's also really good with parent resources.
Trevor Project, that was the other one. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew there was one.
Yeah, no
I knew I
worries.
was missing something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
them I've
they're
heard
very
about.
good with working with trans youth. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an
And
Iowa Safe Schools that's good too.
oh, good. Because like the reason Trevor Project is so good because they come from a place of standing up for kids that are dealing with the worst parts of their psychological traumas of what the world is dealing us right now for the trans youth. And the name is based on a child that lost their lives, right? So that's why it exists. And that's why their core message and their ethos is exactly why you're fighting so hard for this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I read
Great.
somewhere that the suicide rate goes from 40% to 40% if you just have someone in your household that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's both me
If
and
you
my
have
partner.
somebody
So.
in your yeah, well, that's great because at the end of the day, it's like this risk of ideation and suicidality dropped to no higher than a cis kid just by having somebody supportive in the home. So
Good.
You're doing it right.
Doing that, then.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much.
Sure.
Enjoy the rest of your show. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we do have a poll. So make sure that you do your super chats with either hashtag Team Josie or hashtag Team Ben. And the winner or the loser of the competition will have to choose one of the three options. James from Team Rocket is straight, Wokeness Ruin Lucky Charms, and Biden bans straights from Disney. So if you want to see our intellectual prowess prove these claims, make sure you get in on the fight with the hashtag Team Josie, hashtag Team Ben, and they have to be super chats of $5 or more for them to count. Make sure you put hashtag in front of the names. All right, great. Cool. It looks like we only have one last call. And it is L, she, her, from Florida, wants to know more about documentation, researching that is being blocked by the state to go through with the gender markers and names resources. Yes. Is it L? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, hey, can you hear me okay? I was having problems on the
Yes.
screener.
I can hear you fine. Is your name L or Ellie?
Yeah.
Okay. Which
L.
one? Okay. All right, great. Yeah, so tell us about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, hey, sorry. Okay. Firstly, misspoke. There aren't issues with name changing, but gender marker corrections have been blocked per the Second Court of Appeals. I was trying to brush up on my research on this, and I'm just trying to figure out are there other avenues that I can pursue to update my documentation? I'm hoping that I can do name change and gender marker update simultaneously, ideally, but anyway,
Florida's
I don't know
tough.
if you guys have anything on that.
Yeah, so Florida's tough.
And just to be clear, my state of residency is actually Ohio. I know,
okay.
I live in Florida, but just military family.
Got it. Understood. First, just go to resources like transequality.org and go to their name change center. There's like a link that you can just click it and then click your state, and it goes through all the steps that are necessary for you to be able to do it in Ohio. I believe there's also you can also email them for more support. We also have a legal team, and so that's done by the Advocates for Trans Equality. There's also, I think, the Transgender Legal Center does name change type support to be able to give you all the resources that you need. And then sometimes there is actual benefits of being able to get money to help you afford the cost of the change as well, depending on different times. A lot of organizations will actually donate money just to give programs the ability to support. So I would definitely start there. And then you'd be able to get what's going on and the step-by-step on how to do it.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I did have one other question, if
Sure.
that's okay. Totally not relative to this. And I understand you can't give medical advice kind of thing. But Dr. Ben, I just had an appointment and I'm just wanting to see I guess getting straight to the question, do you know if there is evidence to validate the use of biclutamide for trans feminine hair?
Can you repeat the name? And do you know, is there a brand name? So that might be easier to search.
Let me. I'm only familiar with the biclutamide.
Biclutamide is also used to treat prostate cancer.
I'm trying to think of where in the process it specifically acts and stuff for the mechanism.
So essentially what it is it's a blocker. It's an estrogen blocker that basically puts a bowl over the receptor, which actually is more effective than spironolactone. It's basically a different option to do that.
I wanted to get some more details in the super duper specifics. It's not something that
common brand name I found is.
Sorry, what was the brand name?
Yeah, the common brand name, I just Googled it, was Casadec. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay, it's another GnRH agonist, it sounds like. I haven't seen a whole lot come out from that. But essentially it'd be very similar to using Lupron. I can do some homework on that and kind of see what the current thoughts are about it, because I'm sure there's some data that I'm just like not up to date with. But so instead of giving you a worse answer, I'm gonna owe you an answer on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Elle, can I ask you why you are resistant to taking spironolactone?
So
You don't have to tell me
having
if you don't want to.
no, that's cool. That's cool. I don't mind sharing. Just having a lot of side effects, and the conversation that I just had at my follow-up appointment today was like, yeah, per our algorithm, bicalutamide would be an off-label use, and so that would be really difficult to like stand on, like prescribing.
It's more
And
expensive
they
too
did mention
because
Lupron.
Yeah.
of that.
Which one is more
Yeah.
expensive? Sorry.
No, I think because it's off-label and an insurance is less likely to cover it, so therefore you're probably going to have to pay more for it because
that's
if the
honestly
doctors,
probably the big reason. Yeah, it's most likely a formulary thing as opposed to the mechanism thing.
I see.
Yeah.
yeah. And so Dr. Ben could get you a better answer, but I'll tell you this, you better find somebody that's very understanding of the effects of that, because it's very different from spironolactone, and you need to have a doctor that is experienced in prescribing that medication to understand your blood work and making sure that you're also not giving yourself side effects in the other direction. The reason that I am incorrect. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Ben, please.
Oh no, it's one that like spironolactone is very easy for most general practitioners to prescribe. Like it's a diuretic. We're very familiar with prescribing diuretics. Something that is a bit higher up in the endocrine system, like Lupron, like this other medication, it might be more limited to a specialist that would prescribe that. So I could see that if you wanted something like that, it'd be easier to get through an endocrinologist than it would be to get through like a GP. So my guess is if you want something a bit more specialized than that, you might have to go get a specialist to do it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's really good info.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Just be careful what you read on Reddit, and just make sure that the person that's prescribing you this has some experience with the effects of what it does to your body. I say that as a trans woman, all right? I understand. There was a moment in my transition, I was like, oh, I should do this instead of Spyro. And I was trying, and that military was like, the VA was like, nope, not even a thing, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm like, what? And they're like, no. It was just like a hard no. Like they were like, not gonna do it. And I was like, okay, fine.
Right. Also,
And
the
this is when I
military
didn't
system
have
is super
any
fun with.
resources.
Yeah. The military system is fun with me. Like they gave me issues for trying to prescribe like an iron supplement one time. Like they're like, no, that one's not formulary, but this one is. Like, bitch, this is just iron. Like, let me give them a fucking iron supplement. Or I'm just gonna have them get it over the counter. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. So yeah, Elle, just be careful and make sure you're getting it from a professional. Be careful about Reddit.
Yeah.
Those girls be crazy.
Yes, absolutely. And like trying to find the evidence behind everything to make sure that I'm validating the things I'm taking in and stuff like that.
And you're doing the right thing by asking a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time and your knowledge, and I don't. Without remembering what else I was going to say, there's nothing else I had. I just thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck with everything. Keep it up, and get those documents. Get them, and you can, while we still can. This isn't things you want to procrastinate on. You want to get those things as soon as they can. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Elle. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and let you have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Well, that was the last call. That was a good show.
Hey,
And
we did it.
It's always interesting. It's like with you, Ben, these shows always end so much faster than anybody else. Maybe this is more of an indictment on me. Oh, I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I don't know either.
If I had it my way, I would do it the Forrest way, where I'll just spend an hour and a half on one call with the most mind-numbing person. Like,
oh man, a show with Forrest and Josie would just go all night.
It would.
Oh,
It
just go
actually
all
would,
night.
and we've tried. We've tried.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I'd be like, I'm going to bed.
Especially the political rants,
yeah.
the political chats. Oh my god, we just kept
Oh,
going
yeah.
and going and going. It's like we're limited by the production.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
that's
everyone
how it
else that has
goes.
to go to bed. Like Arden wants
Yeah.
to eat at some point. Like, how dare she try to eat?
There's
while you are
also
trying to
There
wait?
she-
there's also a limit on like the timeline of a call that's usable for a clip. Like the sweet spot is like 20 to 45 minutes. So when you get to the hour and a half calls, they stop performing well. So I'm like,
Well,
please stop going on the merry-go-round. Ask them to call in again.
all I know is like I feel that that's wrong with the power of Forrest and I's charisma. Like we would just like draw people in.
It's not
I feel
wrong.
like
It's not wrong at
I feel
all.
like there's greater. I feel like there's greater than a 1% regret rate for all of those lengthy calls, and so
True.
therefore we just shouldn't have them.
No, listen, if you had Josie and Forrest, their ideal length caller into the actual ideal length caller for the algorithm, you would get like 3 clips if you just had them call back in multiple times. But they're like, no, I want one clip that's really long.
one long one.
One mega clip. Anyway, get in your votes. A vote for me is a vote for reasonable clip lengths, and a vote for Josie is a vote for way too long of clip lengths. So there you go.
Yeah. Team Josie always shows up. It's fine. You can say what you want. Team Josie will arrive.
$49.99 from Narcissa without a comment. Thank you so much for your donation.
Thank you so much for that. That's a very generous donation. $5 from Myra G. Hi, Dr. Ben. Hi, and Josie. Love y'all so much. No HRT since September. It's hell, but med necessary. Just want to put some love out there to all. # team Dr. Ben. Well,
I'm sorry you're going
hope
without
yeah. Hopefully you'll get that back soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Still just as valid, though.
Yep, absolutely. $5 from Cursed Chaos. Hoy, y'all. I have a question. Do you think that we should arm ourselves just in case? I find it difficult to be a humanist right now. # Team Josie. I mean, my words do not represent anybody at any network or anybody else, but especially if you're in a state where it is legal to carry a weapon, it may be helpful for you people out there.
Yeah, I am not arming myself, but I don't stop anybody's for their own amendment rights. So that's my opinion. As you know, I don't know. I just don't like firearms. I don't like them in my hands. I hate them. Like when I was in the military, that was the worst part of my training. I didn't like having guns
I
in my
hate
hand.
it. I hate
like
it as well. I don't like
I hate it so much. It's like there's just an energy that radiates off of it, and I don't like it. And it just, I don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Energy is all subjective, by the way. I'm just talking about how I feel when I hold them. To your well, actually, there's no energy. I agree.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Also, don't get a gun unless you're properly trained. Like the likelihood of you hurting yourself or somebody close to you that you don't mean to hurt is way higher than you protecting yourself from a dangerous incident if you're not trained with a weapon.
Yes.
So
also have a safe.
And get a safe. Do not have it around your children. There you go.
That's you.
I think it's you. Is it?
Is it? It doesn't matter. 5 pounds from Mystic Minds Analysis Tavern. The UK is not great for trans rights right now, but our population density means easily accessible queer communities, of which I'm proud a part of. Good. That's how we survive.
Amazing.
Through
Yes.
community resilience.
This next super chat's from Doodoo Butthead Stinkface Loser Face.
Oh,
but
yeah. 5 pounds from Jessica. It related to the comments from last night, I'm sure. My vote goes to the first host that says Espeon sucks. Oh, yeah, it's related to Pokemon.
Espeon sucks.
Growlithe is better because he's cute, and Arden is wrong and means it. Hashtag love you soon. Hashtag goes to hide. Yeah, so this person just likes the rage from Arden about Pokemon opinions.
So Ben read it out loud first. But then Josie said it right after. I don't know how to divvy up that. Actually, you know what? No, I do know how to divvy it up. No point. I'm invalidating Jessica's points. Sorry, Jessica.
Damn.
Except I'm not sorry.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
harsh.
that makes sense from like Arden's bad video game opinions, such as Baldur's Gate is a bad game. Like that's the best game.
You mean the objectively correct opinion about Baldur's Gate? Excuse me.
No, I'm on Josie's side with this. It's a great.
It's
game.
okay. You guys can both be wrong together. You guys can hold hands in your wrongness.
Yeah, we'll play Baldur's Gate together, and you won't be there.
Yeah, exactly. You're just missing
you
out
won't be
on
there
friendship
ruining
time.
it for us.
Yeah.
I'm happy to not participate in that game. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Another generous donation for $49.99 from Narcissa. Thank you again so much. The GOP has done a masterful job of ginning up resentment among the already powerful white male status quo. Welcome to America. That's always existed. Yeah, I was having a really philosophical conversation with a friend yesterday about that. Yeah.
Yep. $4.99 from Louise Richardson. What we really need to do is set aside competitions for an equal number of trans and cis athletes to show the differences between them don't exist.
I mean, right?
There you go. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we did that in experiments, and it proved that
maybe
matter.
They're being sinister. Maybe they know that cis athletes are just as good as trans athletes, and they're just like, oh, we're just gonna put a really bad athlete next to a trans athlete, so it makes the margins more.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I would not be surprised if they did that. That's exactly what they would do.
Oh my god. That's exactly it. It's like, let's get the last place person to battle the trans person. Just to make sure we know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
$5 from Alyssa Nguyen, my reactor operator buddy. Damn it, Jimmy, go percentage number $ and yourself. I'm a doctor, not a nuclear electronics technician. Go Navy beat Army. I will take that because go Navy beat
that is
Army
a point for you.
Right. Yeah.
That's fine because my opinions about the Army have been less positive after my current experiences. So yeah, it's like people keep asking me the question of like if they ask you to come back, which like technically they can make me come back because I'm an officer, so I'm never really gone. But if they give an offer for me to come back, I'm gonna do this. It's like no. I'm not going to let this keep yo-yoing me around. Like, I'm going to go live my life and maybe move to New Zealand. Like, I don't know.
That's actually a really great country for trans people.
Go ahead. I think this is me. $49.99 from Narcissa. Ben, you rocked it trying to deal with that clown. Thank you so much, although there's no hashtag there, so I guess.
Narcissa just dropping big donos. Love you. Thank you.
Big donos without the vote.
Without the vote, it's fine. We forgive you because of the dono
We
size.
forgive you.
$5 from Rain. I ain't never met a good Ted. You know, Ted Lasso, I've never met him, but he seems like a pretty on the level guy.
There you go.
But he's
There's one.
fictional.
We got one.
But he's
Ted.
fictional, so therefore it's not real. Like so the claim still stands.
$9.99 from
because Superman.
Gimpy G.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just saying, Superman, a white man with all the power in the world, uses it for good. Fantasy.
Yeah.
The real is The Boys. That's the real one. Anyway.
Oh yes.
Sorry.
$9.99 from Gimpy G Gaming. As a quadriplegic from birth, I don't understand the resistance to calling trans a disability. Our lives are adversely impacted by a rare difference from the mathematical norm. You both rock. I think it is. I think it's unfair to lump them together because they're different experiences. And I don't think it's fair to adopt the terminology and adopt the fight from one community and just apply it to another. So in that case, like, even though there are similarities in the experience, I don't think it would be fair to the disabilities community to just invite ourselves into that space.
Yeah, and honestly, like, we all have unique needs, and we should have the ability to have systems that address all unique human existences. And so yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being a fan of the show. So thank you, Gimpy.
Yeah, thank you so
You're
much.
awesome. $5 from Renegade Sapper. Dr. Bin, as a veteran, my heart breaks for what is being done to you. Your valor is being stolen. All of our valor is being stolen. Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, that's right. That's makes me so upset.
$5 from Joshua Everett. It's a simple question, Tom. Is your linguistic hedging more important than the lived experiences of actual human beings? It's just an excuse. Yeah, exactly. This is the point we're trying to get at.
Yep. $5 from Renegade Sapper again. The dog, Max, from The Grinch, is a trained reindeer. Checkmate, Tom.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
10 Canadian from Jessica Gallagher, sending you some fresh British Columbia love. I'm a huge fan of you both, and I'm very sad to hear about what trans people are going through, just trying to live their lives authentically. # Team Ben. Thank you so much, Jessica. We appreciate it, and I appreciate your vote, of course.
Yes. $10 from Roland Back. Why are these people unable to understand? Are they so ignorant or just afraid? They should just go and mind their own business. I applaud your patience and strength. You are beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah. $10 from James. Love the show. My best friend came out as non-binary. I asked them why they fit, and they said they don't know how to explain. I love them so much. How can I best understand the they experience? I mean, it's hard to understand other people's identities. I don't use they pronouns. But I mean, my best way of explaining, I guess, some people identify with multiple pronouns, and that's really just it. It's pretty simple. Just like you may use just one set of pronouns, some people like multiples, and they feel equally good, or they feel better with one or the other. You just kind of have to ask them. But it's hard to say an exact reason why something feels good. I don't know why exactly him feels right for me, but it does. So.
Yeah. I also say that pronouns are a form of linguistic gender expression. It's the way that we use words to help describe our own gender identity. Some people use clothing to do the same thing. So for me, I feel very nice in a dress. I don't know why I do, but I do, is very similar to that situation. So for some people, they want to have the options of being able to use he and they because that's where they feel best expresses who they are at the given moment of what they are dealing with at the time. Remember, pronouns are something you put on, not necessarily what you are. $4.99 from June Urich. Guess a state in the continental U.S. closest geographically. Guess close. Let me say. Guess a state that is continentally U.S. closest geographically. Guess gets this vote, and the one for my next super chat where I give the answer. #, team winner. Guess the state in the continental U.S.
Oh, I guess we just have to guess a state,
It'd be
and
Florida?
then whichever one of us gets closest geographically gets the vote. So I think it's like a choose a number between 1 and 10, except for this is with states, I think.
Okay. So I'm gonna say Pennsylvania.
Okay,
What are you gonna say?
go the opposite side of the country. I'm gonna say Nebraska.
Ooh,
so we'll see which one of us gets closer.
We'll see what gets closer.
Yeah.
$10 from it's you. Go ahead.
From Zerth Moonpaw. Dr. Ben, how did it feel when you lost all your cooties? Josie, how about when you gained all the cooties? #Team Bards, #Team Josie, #Bards stand and stab together. Yes. Definitely the reason I transitioned was because I didn't want the girl cooties anymore. And so I gave all my cooties to Josie and Arden.
Yeah.
That is exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's
also,
true.
I'm a little confused at who to give this point to, because they did say Team Josie, but for a while before Josie was on the team, Ben was like Team Bard. Like Bardcore was your thing, and like
Bardcore is my thing.
But I'm a bard in D&D. That's my favorite character to play.
Okay.
I'm also a bard in D&D.
Yeah, I was
but
like,
I'll give
it
to Josie.
Okay. It's Team Josie.
Give it to Josie. Give it to Josie. That's fine. Because it wasn't the only thing absolutely clear there was the Team Josie. So I will I'll give that to Josie.
Yeah, and also when I gained all the cooties, I loved them because it made me beautiful. That's why I wanted them. So I appreciate them. Thank you. Made my skin nice and soft. $5 from Bees. I wanted to thank Dr. Ben for answering one of my questions last summer. I have since had top surgery and started T, and my life is a million. No, that's 100,000 times
100,000
better. 100,000%. That was important. #Team Ben.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you're doing well. That's amazing. $5 from Joshua Everett. I generally disagree with poll taxes, but #Dr. Ben. See, we're just it kind of is a poll tax. Love it.
I love that actually too much. $10 from Pyrene. How has your career with the VA been since the decision to no longer provide gender affirming care? I had to speak up on a veterans channel due to the total lack of empathy for our fellow vets. Well, I've never had a career in the Veterans Administration. I do, however, I am the vice president of the Transgender American Veteran Association. So it's been pretty chaotic. A lot of trans people coming out of the military, coming to be veterans and trying to figure out if they should even enroll in the VA. But I still recommend every veteran or every newly minted veteran still enroll in the VA because they need to get your records now sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've only briefly rotated with the VA, but otherwise I've strictly been active duty. But yeah, it sounds absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, for sure.
$5 from Melatonin Ale. The PC analogy. You can have a Windows PC with a water cooler or an air cooler, still going to be a Windows PC. Hardware is just different. Hashtag Team Josie.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It's true. I feel like this is going to be a close game.
Yeah.
$5 from Renegade Sapper. I would reverse the unreverse. Okay, sorry, I have to start again. I would reverse then unreverse my vasectomy without anesthesia to play BG3 with Dr. Team Ben.
Hey.
Whatever. I don't think you need to go that far. Is that what you're asking,
Yeah,
Ben?
probably
Is that
not.
what you're asking your fans
No, I'm not
to play
asking that.
Baldur's Gate with you? That's pretty rough. That sounds like a reason.
This
to
is why
not
I'm
vote for
opposed to
Dr.
this
Team Ben.
game. This is what it does to you guys. You are blinded by gay muscle mommy tieflings, and you think that you should do all this to your body just to play a game. Horrible.
You're right. Baldur's Gate 3 is the thing that's transing all of us and making us do weird things to our body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think this is for mine to read.
Yeah.
$5 from Melatonin Ale or an AMD processor versus Intel processor. I could go on with all the different combinations of hardware and OS, but I won't. Hashtag Team Josie. Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
Like it's a great analogy, as you could have any combination of parts and still run the same programs.
Yeah. $5 from Marcelin? I don't know. I'm so bad at saying names, and I apologize to all of you for all the names that I've butchered in the past and in the future. Dealing with changing careers thanks to the administration, wishing Dr. Ben the best after his separation from the military. However, hashtag Team Josie.
Yeah, it's that trend again. The trend where something happens to me and the vote goes to Josie.
It's okay. The vote goes to the right place.
Oh no, I get the one. I feel like this is like the roulette of every episode where it's who has to read the British one. $50 from Mr. Boricua 10. British.
Thank you so much.
Boy, Tom and Ted. What's the matter here? No able to accept the reality that trans people are here to stay, especially you, Tom. Way to absolutely slap the host in the face. You think you gained face? No. Denying the existence of this lovely lady. Hashtag Josie.
That was really good.
Someone clip that.
I'm actually impressed. I'm actually deeply impressed.
Clip it and send it to Katie. What we need to do. Okay, I have an idea. But it would require Katie to maybe like agree to help us for like a few minutes. Is if we get clips of each of us reading one of these, and then Katie has to rank us in terms of who did the accent the best. That'd be some great Patreon content. Actually, that'd be hilarious.
It would be. Yeah,
I like it
actually a lot.
Sorry, we have another super chat from Doodoo McButtface.
£5 from Jay Sicka. Espion sucks. Hashtag Team Josie. Hashtag Arden can't silence the truth. Hashtag Growlith for better. Hashtag love you soon.
I love the beef here. The drama is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm almost.
Growlith is better.
There we go. Sorry, who got that vote? Was that a Josie?
Yeah, that's a me.
Okay.
Yes. Jessica, I see you, Jessica. I see you.
$5 from Melissa. Once more with feeling this time. Damn it, Jimmy. Go bleep yourself. I'm a doctor, not a nuclear electronics technician. There you go.
Yes, with the feeling.
The feeling.
$4.99 from June Urich. Josie wins. The correct state was New Jersey. Hashtag Team Josie ×2. Hear that? ×2. Because
$5 from Maud. Arden is such a shadow heart. Hashtag Team Josie.
Yeah. Totally. She doesn't even get it, but she's totally a shadow heart.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know.
Whatever it is, it's probably cool and awesome and correct. I am cool and awesome. So thank you.
You're definitely the cleric. Yeah, definitely the cleric. Like,
all right. That was our last super. So it looks like Josie has won. No. And what is the
Josie showing up?
What is the winning poll? Oh, it's deadlocked between James from Team Rocket is straight and Wokeness ruined Lucky Charms.
Can I take the Lucky Charms one? Because I'm not as big into Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
It's a deadlock. That feels fair enough. Okay. Let me get this ref.
What was it? Wokeness ruined Lucky Charms. That is the
that's your prompt
statement.
Are you ready?
Am I? Yeah, I can be ready.
All right, let's charge up this clock. And why is it? Oh, it's going. Sorry. Wait, hold on. Let me reset the timer. Why does that keep happening? I'm supposed to do a little charge up animation. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
So, Lucky Charms used to be good. It used to be this great cereal that everyone definitely did not just love for the marshmallows. They definitely wanted the absolutely bland tic-tac-toe shaped pieces that came with the Lucky Charms that were the actual cereal. But anyway, Lucky Charms used to be a good cereal until the rainbow was stolen by the woke cult. And now it's terrible because we all know the rainbow stood for the covenant between God and humanity, because humanity needed to know that they could not act the way they were. And so God, in his totally not abusive way, was like, you know what? If you're going to do your own thing, I know I made you. I'm an all-powerful, all-knowing God that knew exactly what was going to happen. But I needed to make humans for my own reasons that you don't need to know why. And then they didn't do exactly what I wanted them to. And so I killed a bunch of them by drowning. And then was like, I will never do this to you again. Here's a rainbow. And so now you can remember that I genocided all of the people I created, except for one family. And you're reminded now with this rainbow. And that was a perfectly wholesome message. That wholesome message was ruined by the gays. They decided that it's okay to love people of the same sex and to trans the children. And why would you want to do that when clearly the rainbow means that God's going to get you? He's going to drown all of you if you keep doing that. Except that he promised he won't. But just a reminder, just make sure that you don't try it again. And so that is why Lucky Charms was taken over by the woke.
Beautiful.
I'm convinced.
Thank you.
I'm convinced. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like the rainbow used to represent genocide.
Whoa, wrong. Wait, nobody can hear you. I hit the wrong button. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay, you're back.
Again.
No.
Yeah, it's the fine. Timer started because the rainbow used to represent genocide, and now it represents gay,
like happiness and gay and being free. Like what?
Have your genocide cereal, children. Here, have your morning. Start your morning off with some genocide cereal.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's got a leprechaun on it, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's anyway. Okay. Anyway, well, everybody, thanks for joining in today. If you have not liked or subscribed to the stream and channel, make sure you do that and join our Patreon. We have this entire amazing group of humans right here that you could be a part of, and we're talking about great content. like let's actually do some great content on the Patreon, like having Katie judge Finn's English accent.
Yes, we should do it. Great.
We actually should. We should. All right, everybody. See you next week. Bye.